Hi, my name is Amanda Nugent, and I am a Wilmette gardener, and I garden really for wildlife. I've always considered myself a gardener, but in the last 5 years, I've really changed the way I approach gardening. And I look at my garden as what things can do and not just how do they look. And so today we're going to talk about what different things your plants can do for the ecosystem and make it pretty at the same time. So one of the neat ways to start a new garden is to, instead of removing everything and adding a ton of compost and stuff, is to smother the grass. So to kill the grass underneath and then be able to plant directly in. So take some cardboard and then layer it with a small layer of compost, but mostly just mulch or leaf mulch. And these native plants, they don't want fancy soil. And so the less amount you can disturb the soil, the better it is for the plants. Planted this garden last summer, and aside from 1 or 2 little waterings over the intense parts of the drought this summer, I should never have to water this garden again. The deep roots and the drought tolerant plants that I've included are really hardy for whatever weather comes our way. And all the plants in here are going to not only feed the butterflies and the caterpillars and the bees, but also the birds. They'll come and eat the seeds. They'll forage for seeds all winter. I'm going to leave everything here standing. So all of these things combined, without water, without fertilizers, without weed killers, without pesticides, without cutting and hauling away at the end of the fall. One of the best things about native plants is their deep root systems. And so not only do they store water way down deep, but they also store carbon, and they don't require any fertilizer or any treatments. So not only is it beautiful, providing a lot of support for wildlife, but it's also really, really low maintenance. Some of what you have to absorb and embrace as a gardener for wildlife is that it's there for a purpose. It's there to do something, not just what does it look like and what is it doing for me, but what is it doing for the ecosystem. And so I have a lot of plants that get chewed up and webbed and all that stuff. But for me, if you don't see evidence of wildlife on it, then it's maybe not as good a choice of a plant for your garden. And if you don't find evidence of your leaves being eaten, then it probably isn't supporting wildlife. So this is a native redbud tree, and you can see these little half semicircles cut out of them. These are from a leafcutter bee, one of our natives, and they use redbud leaves to make their individual egg cells in their nests. So anytime you see little semicircles cut out of leaves, then you know that you have a very healthy ecosystem of native bees. So the reason you saw me sitting on a log before is it's really important to include dead wood into your garden and home landscape. You can see here that there's fungi and all kinds of microbes are going on in there, and it's feeding the healthy ecosystem, both in the soil and for insects and beneficial organisms. This is our backyard pond. We just finished it this summer. It was a year-long project. We really wanted to find a way to complete our ecosystem in our backyard, and we knew that the one thing that was missing was a natural water source. So the running water will help to really support things like dragonflies and bring in more wild birds. And so we have lots of hidey holes for these fish to hide in so that they can actually make it through the winter. I know everybody in Wilmette, they love their lawns, but what I've really learned is that lawns support almost zero wildlife. They are considered an eco-desert. They're one of the largest monocrops of the country. And so, especially in the pandemic, I've really been focusing on shrinking my lawn. And so this garden here used to be only burning bush, which is considered an invasive in our area. And now it is a really vibrant garden full of natives and annuals. There's something blooming in here every season from early spring into the fall. So one of the best ways that you can help educate your community on the importance of how you're gardening is through science. And I love my science and my organizations. I support the Xerces organization and Natural Habitat of Evanston, Rusty Patch Bumblebee, Homegrown National Park, and all of these organizations together are helping people share their enthusiasm for native gardening and how we can be stewards of our own piece of the property that we share with the world. I hope you've enjoyed visiting my garden with me today. And as you go, I just want to share with you that making this garden a native, sustainable place has been the single most important thing that I can do as a steward of the earth. I can vote, I can recycle, I can reduce my waste, I can do all of those things to choose how to be greener and make an impact, but this is a way that you can actually see a difference immediately. You will bring more bees, more butterflies, more birds, all to your backyard within minutes of planting it. It really is true that if you build it, they will come.